Can pro-NAFTA, pro-PNTR with China, Joe Biden win in Michigan? Hello, this is Robert Romano, Vice President of Public Policy with Americans for Limited Government, dailytorch.com. Hit that subscribe button. Today, we're going to be talking about the general election. Looks like Joe Biden's about to wrap up the Democratic nomination in these upcoming contests. And so the question becomes, can Joe Biden win back the blue wall that President Trump took from Democrats in 2016 when he won in the Rust Belt states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Wisconsin? This shocked the world. President Trump's election shocked the world as his pro-American worker, America First message resonated on trade and immigration with union and conservative households, specifically union households in Democratic stronghold areas that basically had traditionally voted for Democrats and were switching to vote for President Trump on the weight of the strength of his message, being against the North American Free Trade Agreement, being against permanent normalized trade relations with China, against China's membership in the WTO, and as well as building the wall and not allowing jobs to go to illegal immigrants. All of this, I think, kind of coalesced and created a unique coalition in a modern political sense, where Republicans had, in modern times had been the party of free trade. Here, Trump was saying that was the wrong move. We shouldn't have done NAFTA. We shouldn't have done China WTO. And has pointed to the slowdown of economic growth since the year 2000, with not growing above 4% since 2000, not above 3% since 2005. And the economy now is experiencing sustained growth, and President had an opportunity to implement his policies. So let's take a look at what's going on in Michigan and where we stand in the race going forward. 4 years ago, President Trump shocked the world by winning in Michigan. It was his appeal to working class voters, opposing NAFTA, China and the WTO. And Trump's critics had warned that with Trump threatening tariffs against China, Mexico, and other countries, that there couldn't be any trade deals. Instead, there would be a trade war, big recessions. Now, but 4 years later, President Trump, I think rightly can point to a 50-year low in unemployment that definitely shows that his policies have taken a big effect here. And you have to go back to about 1969 to see unemployment this low at 3.5% in 1969. And then you get down to 2020, and then it's back down to 3.5%. So this is the lowest peacetime unemployment I think we've seen in modern history. And President Trump could say, look, I did my trade deals, I did my tariffs on China, and unemployment's still really, really low. We have a sustained economic growth heading into an election year. Illegal immigration is also way down into the United States. It's been normalized down to 37,000 in February. It had been as high as 144,000 last May. Then the Remain in Mexico policy went into effect, more construction of the wall, more increased enforcement on the borders. All these things have coalesced, and now illegal immigration is way down. Trump also ended NAFTA with the passage of the USMCA. He renegotiated NAFTA and pulled us out of that deal. And now we also have a trade deal with China. And he even got China to agree to a trade deal, even though there's a 25% tariff still remaining on Chinese goods. And that's how good how good the president's art of the deal was. And even as the trading goods deficit with China had collapsed by more than 17% in 2019, or by 73.9 billion. So he's narrowed the trade deficit. He got more trade deals. He used the tariffs. He left the tariffs in place. Instead of a trade war, we're seeing an economic boom. Now, Trump proved that with the effective use of U.S. economic power and leverage, emerging markets, after all, still want to sell to Americans. Better agreements in U.S. interests could be had to bring production here and to enlist our neighbors to control migration into the U.S. Pointing to the Remain in Mexico policy, President Trump threatened to put tariffs on Mexico if they didn't cooperate in helping to secure the border. Now, Mexico has deployed its National Guard, and I think the effects speak for themselves. You had a huge spiking in illegal immigration that, after the policies went into effect, came way down. People are remaining in Mexico while their asylum claims are being adjudicated. Federal courts are getting involved a little bit, but for now, the migration wave, this migrant caravan, has been stopped. Now, by that measure, therefore, President Trump's policies were a success. He got us trade deals. He's securing the border. He brought the trade partners to the table and ultimately hammered out agreements, whether on trade or the migration, that received wide bipartisan support. Since 2016, the electoral map now has not changed that much. Trump still needs to carry the Rust Belt states that he carried last time in order to be reelected. But to win back those traditional Democratic households in the Rust Belt who voted for Trump in 2016 is former Vice President Joe Biden. He voted for NAFTA. He voted for the North American Free Trade Agreement in 1993. And he also voted for permanent normal trade relations in 2000. These are, I think, at odds ends with Trump's coalition. Trump's coalition opposed all that. And so is that really the Democrats' best choice? The answer may come in Tuesday on March 10th when the Michigan primary occurs. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, he won in Michigan last time. He narrowly defeated Hillary Clinton, and he exposed deep divisions in the Democratic Party around the issue of trade, with union households tending to favor Sanders. Now, if you look at the most recent polling in Michigan, Joe Biden's running away with it. He's got 20, 40-point lead in some of these polls. So I think Joe Biden's probably going to win Michigan. But the question is, about a third of voters in the Democratic primary are still favoring Sanders. So Biden's not necessarily winning by acclamation, and this hard support for Sanders, about a third of voters in Michigan, that could be bullish for Trump. It could show that there's still deep divisions and doubts about Joe Biden's record on trade. So even with a comfortable lead in polls, about a third of Democrats remain committed to Sanders, exposing Biden's weakness on trade, just like it did for Clinton in 2016, leaving an opening for Trump to once again exploit divisions amongst Democrats. And I'll leave you with the close here. Biden may have too much momentum to be slowed down in the Democratic primary, but in the rush to stop Bernie and his socialism, have Democrats paused to consider Biden's baggage? Where do Bernie supporters in Michigan, particularly those union households, go? Are a lot of them going to vote for Trump again? I think they might. That is the crack in the Democratic coalition that Trump will try to take advantage of in November again, with history suggesting that it will pay off. That's the commentary. This is Robert Romano, Vice President of Public Policy with Americans for Living in Government, dailytorch.com. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and have a good day.